Hi, my name is Jess. This is my mom, Sue. And we went through a really tough experience together when I was 16 years old. And I didn't openly come out of the closet, but I was found out, I guess. I wasn't hiding it too well. And my mom found out, and it was really hard for her because of her religious background as a Catholic, and also because there were complicating factors. We went through a really, really, really tough time, and there were times when I didn't think I could get through it. My mom just freaked out, and she couldn't handle it. She needed help too. Our whole family needed help. Our whole family needed help, and we should have gotten help at the time, but most of the help was focused on me, because she thought that I could change, and not be a lesbian. She thought it was a phase, and she thought that, I had just changed and was going through something and was going to come out of it. And so because she thought I could change, she tried to do whatever she could to get me to change, and because I was so rebellious against it, we did a lot of fighting, a lot of screaming. It was very traumatic for me, because I sort of felt like you went from loving me and thinking I was a good person to seeing me as, what it felt to me was seeing me as something horrible. And I was thinking, I'm still the same person. And then, she wanted to change me, so she would say things to me like, "You're going to hell," and horrible, horrible things that I can't even remember. It was dramatic for me. So I was thinking at the time, basically, that I was never going to have a relationship with my mother, that I just needed to get out of high school and get out of the house and get as far away as I possibly could from that pain. But of course, I didn't really want to get away. I wanted my mom to love me and accept me. So it's been a process. This was 10 years ago. I'm 26 now. And we have come a long way. There were still ups and downs even as I got older, and I started to have relationships with other people, and that was really hard. And I had relationships with people who were much older than I am, so I know that was a complicating factor and really, really hard for my mother. But all along, when I realized I was gay, I did not feel like there was anything wrong with it. I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with me. I just wanted to be loved and accepted, and I didn't think she was capable of it, because sometimes she was going through, I would describe it as, it was grief. She felt like she was, even though it's not my reality, she felt like she was losing her daughter. So she went through a ton of grief. One day she'd be angry, wanting to scream at me, wanting to fight, I felt like she hated me. She was just so angry. The next day, or not the next day, but a period later, she would be crying and saying, "I'm so sorry." And over time, we just repeated this cycle for a year, over and over and over, and she would sort of do it when no one else was around. When no one else in the family was around, that's when she would approach me and start trying to talk to me and tell me what I was doing and how and I actually grew up very religious and believed in God. But through that experience, I no longer believe in God, and I don't blame that on my mother. I blame that on me being enlightened and figuring things out for myself and having my own ideas. But at the time, I probably could have used some kind of help that way. But for her, she sort of saw it as you're turning against religion. How can you call yourself a Catholic? How can you say you believe in God when you're doing this? When you're doing something so disgusting that God doesn't want you to do? And so anyway, I wanted to separate myself. But then as I got older, got into relationships, I still wanted to have a relationship with my mother because I love her, and I understood that it was really hard for her and that she really couldn't, I mean, she couldn't help what she was doing. She needed support from someone else to say, this isn't okay. You can't act like this. You need to get help. You need to get counseling. But she didn't have the resources, and I didn't have the resources. So we were in a very unhealthy spot. But basically, once I got out and had support from outside person who is my current wife, and I didn't have to be stuck and isolated and feel like I was trapped in the home with her, then I got to set my boundaries and say, I'm not going to be around you if you talk to me like this. I will not stand for it anymore. And then that forced her to sort of start to say, okay, what matters to me more? You know, I'm going to lose all control of her, or I can start to accept her and respect her boundaries about how she wants to be treated. And then that started, you know, it was a very long process, still fighting happening sometimes, but it started getting her, you know, thinking maybe more about acceptance and what she could do and what she had to do. I wouldn't accept it otherwise. I was willing to cut her out of my life. Even though I would always love her and always wish that she would be in my life, I had to draw those boundaries. So now we've come a long way. It's not perfect. It's a traumatic situation for us both that we both get tied into emotionally at times, but I have 2 daughters with my partner, and my mom is a loving part of their lives, and she's a very big supporter of us, and she has come a long way that I thought she wouldn't come, and part of it is probably that I live far away and it gave us some space, and part of it is that I grew up and developed boundaries, and that I had developed my own support network. But I want to talk to you guys today because at the time that this was going on, I felt like I was completely alone, and like I had no one. I couldn't talk to people. People at school didn't understand. I know. People at school didn't understand. The guidance counselors at school didn't quite understand exactly how bad it was. They were talking to me, but they really should have been giving our family resources outside of us. I mean, I really should have been apart from my mother at that time. I shouldn't have been in the house with her. So, after having gone through that and knowing that I was a very strong person, and so I could get through that, I know not everyone is that strong. And if I didn't have external hope, at the time I was in love with someone who was older than me, and it was a really difficult situation. It was my teacher, and it complicated everything, and it made her react probably much more traumatically than she would have. But my source of hope through that time was my relationship with that person that I loved, my teacher. I know it's out of bounds, and people do not understand it. And so that got me through. I believe if I hadn't had hope that I was going to be in a loving relationship with my teacher, as delusional as that may have been or may not have been, I would have killed myself. So I understand that when you're in this situation and your family responds and there is abuse going on at the home, emotional, psychological abuse or otherwise, that without any resources, without any hope, whatever you have to do, you need hope. You need hope to survive. You have to, even if you're deluding yourself and thinking, I'm gonna be with this person that who doesn't love me, or who you think loves you. Just grab onto whatever hope you can get to get you through that time. And then when you get out, you'll get out and you'll be able to move on. But there are scars that go on. And even now, with my mother, we get along so well. We have wonderful times. Every so often, something can trigger it if she talks to me in a certain voice or something. And I go right back emotionally to that time because it's a trauma. But I feel empowered because I can speak about it. And I feel empowered because I can love through it. And I can move forward even when it feels like a huge, huge weight that carries with me. I know not everyone can get through that, but if you set your mind to, it does get better. If you can grab hold of something, anything. If you write, I don't know what you could possibly grab hold onto, but you have to grab on hold to something if you're going through a tough time like that. But my overall message is that I love my mother and I forgive her. And it doesn't mean that I don't hurt still and that I don't have trauma from it. It just means that I love her and she is a big part of my life and will always be a part of my life, and that we're both willing to work through it. I don't know if there's anything that you want to say to any other parents out there or any kids out there who are going through it now that you've been through it on your side of it.
Well,
I mean,
first of all, you lived your life according to what you believe when you're young, and as a mom. And when something happens that
okay. This is important. It's important for people to hear this, Mom. See, it's traumatic for her even to think about me changing, because that's how she saw it, as such a change. I didn't see it as a change. I just saw it as, I realized who I was all along.
No, my tears are because I'm so sorry.
I know.
Because I just wanted to be the best mother there ever was, and that was my goal in life.
Well, maybe it's not to be perfect. The goal is to evolve and to grow.
And the reason I was not accepting, because I took that as Jessica rebelling against us and that it wasn't true. So until I believed it was true, I wasn't able to change. So I thought it was not true, and I thought it was her.
So it was like a death to you.
Rebelling against us somehow, when Jessica was like the perfect child. You did
but
everything.
I still, I mean, if I am the perfect child, which I wasn't, but if I was that, then I still was that.
No, I know, but in my mind,
right,
in my mind it was wrong. It was wrong to think that. I'm saying that's what went through my mind at the time, that you always did everything I wanted you to do. So when this happened, and I knew it was a teacher, and I knew it was, in my mind, it was so wrong that, I mean, my anger was really probably, I was taking it to myself, like, that it was something I was, like, when you find out your child's homosexual, it's almost like you are
yourself
or something. It's like, what is, I was worrying about everything. What would happen to your life?
Right, but I know, but you used to say, "Oh, I'm worried about people not accepting you," but you were the one who wasn't accepting me. I wasn't having those issues from anyone else but you.
I was probably worried about people not accepting me. I don't know. I'm trying to, because I know how that happens. People usually. If
you had some outside support, other parents who were going through the same grief and the same.
Yeah, I did need that.
I mean, do you think that would have helped you?
Yes, absolutely. I got Jessica help. We took you to Christian counseling. We took you to another counselor.
But it always felt like it was the point of to change me.
Right. But counselors were telling me that you were confused, so they were giving me hope.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I was thinking what I was doing was right in a way, not what I did to you emotionally was wrong. And I did not know at that time how, because you were being in your bedroom alone, I didn't know how you were suffering as much as you were.
Now, but part of the thing is, during this time, she doesn't remember. You do not remember all the things you said to me. I mean, I used to sit there and think, if I was in the car with you and you'd be spewing out these things, I'm like, oh, I should be writing this down. I need a video. Someone needs to see this. This is not real. Like, this is not, I can't handle this. How can you say these things? Like, they were such horrible, horrible things that no one else will ever know that you said. I'm sorry, Mom.
I think my mind doesn't even let me go there or something.
I know. And so for her, it will always be a different memory than for me. Which we all carry our own memories of things. We all have our own experiences of things. And so the isolation is the hardest part. Feeling like no one knows. No one knows what is going on here. No one is protecting me. No one is going to help me. I'm alone.
I'm so sorry, Jessica.
I know. So this video is to let you know that if you're going through something like this and you feel alone, you're not alone. There are people out there who can help you. There are people out there who can understand this. There are people out there who can talk to you. And you may be alone now, but you will not always be alone because it gets better. Okay? You feel like you said everything that you want to say?
No. First of all, if you react in the way that I did, you will forever be regretful. And it was a time in my life, I think I was already going through depression because we had problems in my family. So I needed help.
This was a convenient thing to happen, I guess.
And so when this happened, that was like my way probably of dealing with my other issues, that I wanted to control you. And there's a movie, right, Tears for Bobby, about a boy that committed suicide, and his mother was religious like I was, and probably reacted the same way. But he ended up killing himself. So, and I was embarrassed to talk about this for a long time with my friends and just even strangers, and now I'm finding myself just feeling the need to tell people that they have to be there for their kids, because Jessica might not be here if I didn't have her have some kind of hope. And that guilt doesn't go away. So
you have to forgive yourself too, though.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. The thing is, like she said, she will always have scars that I did to her, and it's not all along. If you're a parent out there going through this all along, yes, you believe that it was wrong. It's not a choice. And all these religious people, I still believe in God. I don't believe in religion anymore because I don't believe that God is that judging the way so many Christians believe he is. I believe that God has made us the way we are. Jessica was born like this, and he would never crucify someone that was born like this.
I mean,
so whatever her preference is in life, God loves all. And if you think you're a Christian and you're going to judge your child or someone else's child, you better think twice, because you're going to be judged in the end. You're not to judge. I was not supposed to judge. It's all a part of control. You want control. I wanted control. It's not about that. It's about loving unconditionally, no matter what, because everybody lives their life the way they believe is right. And it's not for anybody to tell another person what is their right.
Right. And by loving someone, by loving someone, you are not doing something wrong. I think that was the part that was just the hardest for me. It's like, I'm not hurting anyone.
I know.
I'm not doing anything to hurt anyone. I'm loving and caring. And I mean, to think that someone could feel such anger, and not just you, people out there in the world, could just hear that I would love a woman, or that I would love my teacher, or whatever the person is, whatever adult the person is, and to think that is just someone out there has anger and feels so disgusted by it.
It's their fears. It's their fears. It was my fear. It was my fear of what people would think about me, about my family. It was people would think of you and your rejection. It's everybody's fear, and everybody knows deep down inside that it's their fear. They're just so afraid to let that out. They're so afraid to talk about it.
Because really, if you had not been allowed to treat me like that, you would have probably just been so sad. You would have been crying and crying. If you had said to me, Jessica, I really think this is wrong, I'm really worried about you, and you said it in a calm voice, and you told me how you felt, and you were crying, that would have been a different experience. I mean, I still would have disagreed and been hurt and felt like you can never understand me, but it wouldn't have been the trauma of someone trying to change you and trying to hurt you. You thought if you could hurt, I don't know, it's like it felt like you thought if you could hurt me enough that I would just stop doing this. I don't know.
I threatened you with how?
You would try to say every horrible thing you could possibly say to me.
I know, Jess. I know. I will forever be sorry, and I can't take it back. I wish I could, and God, just listen to my words. Because you have control of this if you have a child. That is a little different. She's the most wonderful, loving person I've ever seen on the face of the earth. And for me to make her feel like that is just, It's sick. So I hope this gets out to as many parents that this can, and children, please get some outside help. If your parents are in the place that I was, go to some close relative of yours or a friend and tell them that you need help.
But it's so weird because I had people in my life that I was telling, but no one knew what to do. It's like we don't have the resources in the community. It's like no one wanted to go inside the home and be like, what is going on here? It's like friends and family. They knew that, I'm going through a hard time. Jessica came out. What could they do? What adult could just come into my house and say, for me, I just wanted someone to save me. So, that's going to be my issue for the rest of my life, of wanting to be saved. But, I still think that there needs to be changes made in the larger community, that there are resources, like real, innovative, get in the home, get into the situation resources, instead of no one wants to step on anyone's toes. Everyone wants to respect the privacy. But when you're talking about kids who are alone and isolated and are not going to be able to survive through something like this, then you need more than that. Anyway, the overriding message I want in this video is that my mother and I are still close. We made it through. We got through it. If we can get through that situation, you can get through it too, and it can get better. I gotta turn the video off now.